that wear minor helmets and such, and they shoot little blasts at you. These guys are very similar to that. They're kind of like big Matools, actually, because they're actually like miners in general instead of just being like little flashlight guys and such. Of course, as we maneuver our way through this, we're going to continue over to the right. Here's another one of these jumping things that I can't stand. Pretty much have to maneuver my way around them so they don't land on top of me, or else they do a ton of damage. But here we go in Gutsman's giant hallway, which is, speaking of Matools, we have more of them here with them wrapped up here. We have to get through a bunch of them, but of course they're not really challenging and all, but hey, that's just how the Matools are. And of course the Matools has actually become one of the more popular Mega Man enemies, and pretty much has appeared in every single type of Mega Man game that has since come out. All the spin-offs and all such. Okay, here's Gutsman, and of course his biggest thing in the world is the fact that he shakes the ground every single time he jumps. He jumps around a lot, but when he jumps in the same spot that he was just on, he of course grabs a rock from the ceiling and launches it at you. Sometimes if you're far enough away, or far enough on the left side of the screen or far enough on the right side of the screen away from him, when he throws it, you'll have enough time to recover from the earthquake that he causes to be able to extra, jump over it. But for the most part though, he's absolutely not that hard, because of course you just have to time the jumps to make sure that you're not shaking up very long or at all. And as he jumps around like an idiot, you can just keep blasting him and blasting him and blasting him and slowly drain his health until of course he's done. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Who's gonna be next? Well, I say it's time for Fireman, because I hate Fireman. Let's get him out of the way. Here we go, Fireman. He's gonna give us, 70,000 points, less than Gutsman, which is kind of weird, and I consider Fireman pretty much the absolute hardest of the Mega Man robot masters in this game. And that's because his attacks are sporadic, and I highly suggest having full health when entering a battle against Fireman, because I always seem to need it. There is a way to get him in a set pattern that you can actually do a ton of damage to him, but I've always been bad at getting him in that set pattern. Of course you can use, what he's weak against, against him, but since I'm using just the, the Mega Blaster, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. Okay, working my way up, of course I'm going to be dodging a ton of fire-based stuff, with it being, of course, Fireman stage. You would think it would be filled with fire things. Mainly, though, just these type of, things, like the platforms that have fire coming out. You just gotta time your jumps and wait for them to go back in, and then maneuver your way. This game actually has, like, the least amount of extra health laying around. As the Mega Man games progressed, they became easier. Or at least in my opinion easier, because there seem to be more random health boosts laying around waiting for you to grab them. In this area, be careful of course of the flying things that are coming at you from above. Of course they'll knock you off the platforms, and in famous Mega Man fashion, of course, as you already know, when you get hit, you kind of backtrack for a second. You have no control over Mega Man for that few seconds, and the most famous thing of all is that when you're on a very small platform and get hit, even though you can't control it, Mega Man will fall backwards and end up falling off the platform to his death. In this part, watch out for these stupid shark things that explode every time you shoot them. Of course, if they run into you, they do damage, or if you actually shoot them and they explode, you actually can get hit by their explosion. One of the few enemies that, even in their death, they can still do damage to you, which is of course a little bit annoying, but still. Here's a common enemy in Mega Man I've been dealing with here. Of course, is these guys that when you land on a platform, then they start speeding up and coming towards you. They're pretty easy to dodge in some places, and almost impossible to dodge in others. Now here's the hallway leading the Fireman. All the Mega Man Robot Master stages, none of them are particularly extremely long or anything, especially in this game. They seem kind of short, especially considering it's one, with only 6 Robot Masters, it's already the shortest of the Mega Man games, but it was the first one, so, if this one became a hit, then, once it did, they were like, well, let's extend it and make it longer and make it even better, and that's what they did. Now here is Fireman, and good thing I have almost all my health. He, of course, fires these giant waves of fire. Every time you seemingly hit him, he gets ticked off and launches more fire things at you. Regularly, he'll only fire one at a time. If you seemingly hit him with your every time you hit him with a blast, he shoots one that leaves one of those little fire things left. My strategy against him is just keep blasting him, jump over what you can. If you get lucky enough not to get hit, then hey, good for you. And just follow him around and keep blasting him. Hopefully he'll die before you do. He's the only robot master where I really don't have a trick or anything special to use against him. It's really impossible almost to dodge his ability, and just absolutely positively annoying, especially considering that wave thing you blast at you that leaves a little fire residue is almost impossible to dodge half the time. Okay, since we're done with Fireman, we're on Iceman now, so let's talk about nicer things, including Iceman. Now, of course, every time I say Iceman, I think of course, the X-Men Iceman, but of course that's not what we're talking about here. Now, in this level in particular, it introduces one of the things that became a staple of Mega Man games, the disappearing and reappearing series of blocks that you have to maneuver and jump around. This thing would become, this is one of the most annoying things in all the Mega Man series, and probably my least favorite things in terms of at least the stage designs in these games, having them in it. I can't stand them. I'm sure there's people out there that say that's the coolest thing, and that's one of your favorite things about Mega Man games, but I don't really like it. Here we go, and here we're off. First time we've had to deal with these things. Of course, they disappear and reappear, and you gotta maneuver your way around them. The first one that you see in each game, of course, is pretty easy. And this game, actually, the ones you see aren't really that hard. This one is, of course, harder than the other one, but it's overall not that hard. The problem is with this, come on, jump. Okay, I just screwed that one up. Oh well, let's try to go around this again. Come on, jump. There we go, I got it. That's how you're supposed to get around this one, I forgot for a second. There we go. It didn't look that hard, but that's because I practiced that enough to know exactly which way to go. In any game, in any of the Mega Man games where I can skip that area, I will, including the end of Heatman stage in Mega Man 2. I will use the Rush Jet to just blast my way through that entire level through that entire area, because I don't feel like dealing with all those disappearing and reappearing blocks. Not only does it take so long, one little slip up and you hit the lava and you're done. So it's just like, rather not take my chance unless I absolutely positively have to deal with it. Okay, here's one of those hopping guys that we've had to deal with before. As one kind of just reappeared there on the right side of the screen, and as I moved it disappeared. That was kind of weird. Here's those flying penguin guys that are similar to those bomb things, but they don't kill us, or at least don't leave an extra explosion when they die. Now here's Iceman. I find him pretty much the easiest, of the supposed harder robot masters, if that makes any sense. I actually find him pretty much the easiest one. Because he doesn't move that much, he only moves in 3 different spots, and his weapon is extremely easy to dodge. Just stand on the ground, stand on this left wall here, and jump twice every time the things come towards you. When the one goes over your head, jump over in between them. Of course, it takes a little bit of practice to get used to the timing, but if you play Mega Man enough, the timing becomes absolutely second nature, and it's actually one of the easiest things. You're just like, wow, why can't every robot master be this easy? Or you're thinking, why isn't this more challenging? Of course, since the pattern's the absolute same every freaking time, that's why Iceman in particular is absolutely one of the easiest robot masters to deal with in this game. But hey, with that, that's gonna, wrap up 5 of the robot masters. We only got 1 more to go, and that's Selectman, who has one of the most damaging of all the robot masters' weapons. When his weapon hits you, it destroys your health bar. This is one of those ones where you absolutely have to dodge his move at all cost, or you will die completely over and over and over again. Now, I hate this stupid freaking part with these damn little things on the ground that we saw them earlier, where you land on the platform and then they speed towards you. Electman's stage in general is full of those things, as well as these, of course, electrical beams that you have to dodge as well. And, these things that's what I was just talking about. I hate them as well. This also contains the secret last robot ability that we must find, and is actually hidden. You need Gutsman's ability in order to get it, so that you have to do Gutsman before you do this one. The good thing is you can actually redo the levels. If you didn't have Gutman's ability when you did this level, you can come back to it and do it later, but in my opinion, of course, it's best to already have Gutsman's ability, just so you have to make one